What's going on, everyone? Devin here. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about why, even in 2020, the Canon 5D Mark IV is still my go-to everyday camera. Now, when this camera first came out, it got a lot of hate, and most people thought it was outrageously priced at $3,500 and that the specs were lacking and that Canon had killed the 5D line. Now, I gotta admit, at first I was one of these people because it's so easy to get caught up in the specs of a camera, but there's a few things that make so much of a difference in the real world that no amount of outrageous specs can. Number one, that's the ease of use. This camera is so easy to use. The autofocus is some of the best around. The menus are extremely easy to navigate, and the straight out of camera colors look amazing, and you take hardly any post-processing to get the look you're going for. When you're shooting with a camera that doesn't have great autofocus, there's a lot of shots that just aren't possible, and you really have to know how to work with manual focus, which is totally fine, but sometimes you just don't want to, or you're looking for a gimbal shot that doesn't allow for it. It's just so much easier to always know that you're gonna be in focus. And number two is the build quality. In my opinion, there aren't many tougher cameras, if any, that are tougher than the Canon 5D Mark IV. I use this every day. It's in my hand a lot, and it just feels solid in the hand. You know you're holding a quality piece of gear, and one that you especially know can take the wear and tear of being an everyday photographer. I've dropped this thing. It's fallen down off the tripod onto the ground, lens first. It's got scratches all over it. I've even taken some falls with it, and it just keeps working. Cold is never an issue. I live in New Hampshire. I'm shooting in -degree temps all the time, and it never freezes up. My Panasonics freeze up all the time, especially in the cold, and even sometimes in normal weather, which is one of my biggest complaints about the Panasonic S1. I'm taking a shot, and it just freezes up. You have to completely take out the battery in order to restart it, and you lose the shot that you just had. And you know, if you're a run and gun shooter, that really can't happen. But this, it starts right up, couple seconds, and it's ready to go. One of the other most important things to me is having dual card slots. And I know everybody says it's 2020. Most cards, they're not gonna fail. All the cards out there right now are really good, and they hardly ever fail, which is great for them. But let's be honest, cards do fail. Files get corrupted. It does happen. If I'm using a camera for any type of professional work, dual card slots, non-negotiable for me. You're shooting weddings, you're shooting events. Are you willing to just say, sorry, some of the most important moments from this is gone because my card failed? This is one that I won't even argue with people. It's like saying, I've been wearing a seatbelt for X amount of years and I've never needed it. You don't need it until you need it. This is actually one of the biggest reasons that's kept me from buying an EOS R. They're already so close as it is, but this just puts them in a completely different category for me. I personally would not use a camera that only has one card slot if I'm being paid to be there. Now, with that all being said, is this a camera that I would recommend in 2020? Yes, but it depends on what you're shooting. I think it's a little different if it's a camera that you use every day versus something that you maybe just only use once a week. You just have to make some trade-offs and find the one that works best for what you need it. And this, right now, this works best for me. If dual card slots aren't an issue, buy the EOS R. They're much cheaper, much better value right now. I mostly use this for real estate, and some people would say that this is a bit overkill for real estate, but I love the images that come out, and I've actually been using it more on commercial shoots where I need autofocus and even everyday photography because I love the way that the images come out and the straight out of camera colors for video. To me, I still love the look and feel of a DSLR. The shutter click is unmatched by a mirrorless camera. It just sounds and feels so much more solid to me. The 5D series typically comes out every 4 years, so we might be expecting to see another one coming out this year. Possibly they're gonna move it to the mirrorless line, so it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with it. With the recent leak of the Canon EOS R5, I don't know, those specs seem a little bit too good to be true, but it'll be interesting to see how it compares with the Canon 1DX Mark II, which I'm currently holding off on buying until I see more about that R5. This was just a reminder not to get too caught up in the specs and realize that sometimes the little things make the biggest difference. Let me know what your everyday camera is. That's gonna do it for this video. Remember to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet. I post videos just like this every Tuesday. We'll see you guys in the next one.